Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in a lawn game called Kubb. Kubb. So this is a lawn game. You're throwing things on a lawn, or you're rolling things on a lawn, that type of thing. In Kubb, it has, I don't have any photos or anything to show you, but I can describe it pretty easily. There are these wood blocks, and in the middle of the field of play, which is about maybe 30 feet long, it's not all that long, it's built for a small backyard. You put the tallest block in the middle, right in the middle of all the players. And to win the game, you must knock over that block. But you have to only do so after you've met some other conditions. They've really gamified this game in some clever ways. If you knock it over too early, you instantly lose. So I think that in itself is pretty clever. On each side, you start with a line of 5 shorter blocks all lined up. And so there are 5 blocks on either side of the playing field. And then one team, which you can play any number of players. You could really play up to 6 players on each side because each team starts with 6 big rods. And they're going to throw those rods at the other players, not necessarily the other players, any towers that are on the other player's side of the field. And you're trying to knock over those little towers. And when you do, so say it's my turn, beginning of the game, or my team's turn, and I played this with Megan the other day. So we each threw 3 of these rods, and say we hit 2 of the towers on the other side of the course. The next thing that happens is that the other players throw those towers over onto our side because we have now won those towers. We have earned them. They're going to throw them over onto our side. But they're not throwing them to knock anything over. In fact, they can't knock anything over when they do that. Instead, they're throwing them to determine the position where we will throw in the next round. So, for example, if we have the battle line here, so we're throwing from behind our battle line, but one of the towers that they throw ends up right here. Our battle line moves up to that tower in the next round, unless they're able to knock over that tower in the next round. So you're kind of by knocking over towers, you are potentially advancing yourself and advancing your position in the next round, making it easier for you to hit their targets. That, I think, is really, really clever. However, the other point of decision that you have here, when you're throwing back, and this is my favorite mechanism, when you're actually throwing back those towers of your own that have been knocked over by the opposing player. So you don't want to throw them too close because then the other team has a pretty big advantage. If you throw them too far, though, you have an advantage that you could gain because if you can actually touch one of the other player's towers with that tower, then they have to stack them, which makes them even easier to knock over. You have 2 towers stacked up. So you're kind of aiming for the other player's towers. Even though you can't knock them over, you're aiming so that you can touch them. And I'm saying this because if I throw one of them that's much closer, that's kind of closer to where we are currently, then it's easier for me to aim for it and potentially end up touching it, making it easier to knock over. So there's this really interesting decision point of how far do you throw them back when your towers have been knocked over. And I believe there's also a rule where if you throw it back too far, too many times, I think it's 2 times, and if it goes out of bounds twice, then the other team gets to set it up at wherever they want on the field of play, on their side of the field of play, which can make it really easy. So you don't want to throw it too far and go out of bounds multiple times, like a double fault in tennis. So there's this really nice layer of strategy to a game that's very easy to teach and very easy to play. But I really like that decision space, that even when something bad has happened to you, when one of your towers has been knocked over, you still have the fun point of throwing it back and deciding how far you want to throw that tower back. Yeah, so that's my favorite mechanism in the lawn game Kubb. If you played it or played a game like it, I think there's a game like it called the Kingdom Lawns game. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below about what your favorite mechanism is in that game, or just mention if you have a favorite lawn game. I think my favorite is still ladder golf. I love playing ladder golf at the beach when I have a family reunion with my family, but this Kubb game was a lot of fun too. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks.